If you close your eyes right now and think of a word, you will hear it. It has a specific tone, a distinct pace, and it sounds exactly like you. You spend your entire life locked in a room with this silent inner voice. It narrates your day, critiques your choices, worries about your future, and reminds you of things you said wrong 5 years ago. Most people assume this internal monologue is the very definition of consciousness, that to think is to speak inside your skull. But in 1993, a cognitive scientist named Charles Fernyhough began digging into the architecture of the mind, and what he found changes everything we think we know about our own identity. Your inner voice isn't your soul talking to you. It is a biological glitch. It is a leftover stream of data from an ancient survival simulation engine that you were never supposed to actually hear. To understand where this voice came from, we have to look at how your brain moves your physical body. When you decide to reach out your hand and pick up a cup of coffee, your motor cortex sends an electrical signal down your arm to contract your muscles. But electricity takes time to travel. If your brain waited for the physical feedback from your hand to confirm it grabbed the cup, your movements would be slow, jerky, and uncoordinated. To fix this, your brain does something brilliant. Every single time it sends a command to a muscle, it simultaneously sends an identical copy of that command to your parietal lobe. Neuroscientists call this an efferent copy. It is a microsecond simulation of what the movement should feel like before it actually happens. If you try to tickle yourself, it doesn't work because your brain has already used the efferent copy to predict the sensation and cancel out the surprise. You can't surprise a system that already knows what it's about to do. But humans didn't just evolve to move their arms and legs, we evolved language. Around 100,000 years ago, as human vocal tracts altered to allow for complex speech, the brain applied the exact same motor control software to our mouths. When you speak out loud, your brain generates an efferent copy of the words to predict how they will sound before they pass your lips. This is called inward generation. Your internal monologue is not an abstract stream of pure thought. It is the physical muscle command to speak, intercepted and simulated in your brain's parietal lobe with the volume turned down. You aren't just thinking. Your brain is literally trying to move your vocal cords, your tongue, and your larynx, but it aborts the mission at the very last millisecond. We know this because when scientists put people into an electromyography machine while they are thinking silently, they detect microscopic electrical micro-movements in the throat muscles. Your inner voice is just a muffled scream. You aren't listening to your mind think. You are listening to your body preparing to speak over and over again, forever. But if it's just a biological feedback loop, why is it so loud and why is it so incredibly negative? The answer takes us back to the primitive savanna. In a world of absolute scarcity and constant lethal danger, a silent simulation engine was the ultimate survival weapon. If an ancient hunter saw a shadow in the bushes, they couldn't afford to call out or discuss it with a peer. They needed to run a silent internal simulation of the threat. The inner voice used the inner voice as a predictive alarm system. If I walk there, a leopard will kill me. If I eat that, I will die. The inner voice didn't evolve to write poetry or tell you that you look nice today. It evolved as a hyper-vigilant security protocol. It was programmed by millions of years of natural selection to look for the worst possible outcome, to criticize your social standing so you wouldn't get kicked out of the tribe, and to keep you in a low-level anxiety. It was an involuntary panic button. But then we built the modern world. We removed the leopards, we put locks on our doors, and we insulated ourselves from the raw physical terrors of nature. But nobody turned off the software. Because we no longer spend our days running across open ground or using our physical energy to survive, that ancient security protocol has inverted. With nothing left to hunt or flee from, the inner voice has turned its predictive panic on you. It analyzes your emails, it dissects your text messages, it judges your appearance in the mirror, and it treats an awkward social interaction like a terminal threat to your survival. The software is working perfectly, it is just run out of legitimate targets. And here's the stranger part, not everyone has it. Until recently, psychologists assumed that an internal monologue was a universal human trait. We wrote books, filmed movies, and designed entire psychological frameworks around the assumption that everyone has a little person talking in their head. But in 2021, a massive survey conducted by researchers at the University of Nevada revealed a startling truth. Roughly 50 to 80% of the population does not experience a continuous inner voice. When they think, they do not hear words. They think in raw concepts, visual maps, and unspoken sensory impressions. They live in a completely silent house. If you are someone who hears the voice constantly, this feels almost impossible to imagine. It means the entity you thought was your core self, the narrator that has guided you through every day of your life, is completely absent in the skulls of the people sitting right next to you on the subway. They are navigating the exact same world, making the exact same complex decisions without a simulated voice commenting on it, which raises a terrifying, liberating question. If the voice isn't necessary for consciousness, and if it's just a leftover motor simulation designed to keep a primitive ape from getting eaten in the dark, who are you? You are not the voice. You are the person listening to it. You are the space in which the voice happens. The narrator in your head is just a machine built by an industrial evolutionary process, ticking away in the corner of your mind, running an ancient security update that expired 10,000 years ago. It has a budget, it has a clipboard, and it will keep shouting warnings into the dark until the day your heart stops beating. The trick of the modern world is learning to treat that voice like a background radio in a crowded room. You don't have to believe what the announcer is saying, you don't have to agree with its predictions, and you don't have to perform for it. The next time your inner monologue starts spiraling into an old embarrassment or a future anxiety, take a deep breath, look around the room, and notice the silence sitting right behind the noise. The savanna is gone, the monster isn't coming, and you can finally tell the narrator to let the world go dark and just be here.